In a world ruled by faith and fear, he dared to unite the mind and the soul. In a candle-lit cell of a 13th century monastery, a silent man wrote words that would echo through centuries. While kings waged wars and popes ruled empires, Thomas Aquinas fought a different battle for the soul of truth itself. Europe trembled between faith and superstition. To question authority was dangerous, to question faith, unthinkable. Philosophy had been nearly silenced, but Aquinas dared to believe that faith and reason were not enemies, but allies. He studied the long-forgotten works of Aristotle, once condemned by the Church. To his critics, he was meddling with pagan thought. To Aquinas, Aristotle's logic was the key to understanding the divine order, the architecture of creation. Born to nobility, Aquinas was expected to command armies, not ideas. When he joined the Dominican order, his family kidnapped him, locking him in a tower for a year to break his will. He spent that year in prayer. When freed, he returned not to power but to learning, determined to serve truth alone. The architecture of creation. In Paris, Aquinas began to write. He saw in Aristotle's final cause a reflection of divine purpose. Every being, he said, has a natural end, and in man, that end is virtue through reason. He called this natural law, a moral order written into creation, discoverable by human reason and binding on both kings and commoners. Above all human laws stood this higher law, the law of God expressed through nature itself. To Aquinas, truth could not contradict truth. If both reason and revelation came from God, how could they disagree? He built bridges between the mind and the soul, the world and the divine. In his Summa Theologica, he dared to show that logic itself could lead to faith, and faith, rightly understood, led back to truth. To know creation was to know its creator. Study, he said, is a form of worship. The law of liberty. To Aquinas, freedom was not rebellion but alignment. Freedom meant choosing rightly, not merely choosing freely. Man's law, he wrote, is law only if it accords with right reason. Otherwise, it is no law at all. In that single line, he gave liberty its moral core, that freedom must serve truth, or it will serve power. His ideas alarmed many within the Church. Some whispered that Aquinas was dangerous, that he smuggled Aristotle into theology like a Trojan horse. But his vision would save Western thought from fracture. He showed that faith need not fear reason, it can guide it. Without Aquinas, Europe might have split centuries before Luther ever nailed his theses to a door. His writings spread across universities and monasteries, shaping minds that would later birth the Renaissance. He reminded the world that reason itself was a gift from God. The legacy of truth and freedom. In his final days, while praying before the altar, Aquinas had a vision. He laid down his pen and said, "All that I have written seems like straw compared to what I've seen." He died soon after, before completing his final work, but his ideas endured. Centuries later, his influence shaped scientists, jurists, and philosophers alike. Aquinas gave them a language of order, a world where moral truth was intelligible, not arbitrary. When Jefferson wrote that rights are endowed by our Creator, he echoed Aquinas, the belief that truth and dignity are not granted by kings but inherent in creation. Aquinas helped plant the roots of the modern conscience, where faith and reason stand not as rivals but as reflections of the same truth. He showed that liberty without truth collapses into chaos, and truth without liberty hardens into tyranny. From the quiet of a monastery, Thomas Aquinas built the moral architecture of the free world. The fight for liberty never ends, it only changes hands.